Okay, so we're starting off just a gentle breathing pattern. Settle ourselves in, so breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, just nice and easy to begin with. And let your body just become aware, or your brain become aware of your body and where it is this morning. Okay, you're getting into your lovely postural checkup. So you have your hands down by your sides, your shoulder blades just slightly back and down. And of course, you're thinking of that positioning of the head directly over the shoulder blades, beg your pardon, over the shoulder girdle. Okay, and the shoulder girdle over the hips, the pelvis, and the knees, ankles, and feet. Lovely breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And of course, letting that breath just indicate where you are. So you're allowing yourself to just broaden across the rib cage. And as you breathe in, expand that spine right up through the crown of the head. Okay, so you finding that length, finding that space within the bony mass of the skeleton. Okay. As we exhale, you're just going to imagine yourself just starting to engage those muscles around the skeleton of your body. So as the air leaves the body, breathing that air out and conversely drawing the muscles in. You're trying to imagine yourself hugging around this midsection in particular. Okay, so we sometimes call this the Pilates powerhouse. Okay, so this is the core, the inner and the outer levels of muscles. Okay. So you've got your inner level of muscles, which are really the ones that are to do with your stability and your mobilizing of the spine. And then you've got your outer layer, which is a lot more to do with your movement, okay, which is to do with your rotation and your flexion and extension. I'm going to look a little bit more at that this morning for the next hour. Adding in finding the pelvic floor, if you haven't already, just joining in that area underneath the pelvis, just allowing it to wake up a little bit more around the areas around window, water, front and back passages. Just saying hello to those guys this morning as they join in, just drawing up underneath the pelvis, just almost like sealing up underneath, bringing up a little hatch underneath the pelvis there as we exhale. One more breath in, bringing it all in together. Very nice and tall. Exhale, zipping and hollowing as we call it. And open your eyes and bring yourselves back into the room. Okay. So as I mentioned a little bit more about our awareness of our body positioning, I want you to start thinking about the rib cage for me this morning. So this rib cage here, you've got your bony mass pretty much finishing just below the chest plate here. And then also you've got this soft tissue area in the middle, just before you get to the bony mass of the hips. Okay, it's this bit between the soft tissue area I want to think about for a small moment this morning. And it's the connection, almost imagine you've got two little belts connecting the lower ribs to those hip bones. And those belts are currently just done up nice and tight, okay? So they're just connected. I want you to think about that connection as you go into your double arm float for me. You're just going to breathe in, exhale, leading with your thumbs, lifting your arms towards the ceiling, and keep that belt connection as it is, okay? There's no stress, there's no strain on the belt, but it is remaining connected. If your hands come too far, of course, you're going to be pulling on that belt and opening that space between the bony masses, okay? So just keep that belt connected as the arms come back down, breathing in, and exhale, and do that 2 more times for me, drawing those arms up, keeping that lower set of ribs just connected, pulling down gently towards the pelvis and down, breathing in, exhale, and this time pause when your arms come to that maximum range. And we're pausing here. The belt is just gently tightened there. There's no strain. What I want you to do, however, now is lift your gaze towards the ceiling and go ahead and let that strain come onto that belt slightly. You're just trying to tug on that belt slightly, lifting the gaze, and you're gently going to pull the belt back down so the rib cage is connected. Arms stay where they are. Lift the gaze up towards the ceiling, stretching slightly on that belt towards the front of you, and then back down. So adding a little bit of back extension here, okay? So we're just extending towards the back, and then we come back through, and then let the arms come back down, and I want you now to place your palms towards the back of you, okay? So your hands are facing towards the back and like paddles at your side. So we're going to go ahead and do the same, breathing in. Imagine that belt, it's still just tightened at the front, and lift your palms now towards the front so you can show me the palms of your hands. Okay, so from here, guys, we're going to think about now just lowering the gaze slightly towards the floor. The arms come with you and the rib cage comes also forward. So it's a slight pull on that belt as if you're tightening it slightly between the lower ribs and the pelvis, and then you come back up. So we're now heading into what's called back flexion. Okay, so we're coming forwards into flexion. Forwards we go, slightly pulling the ribs down. Now, of course, without the roll down, you don't really get that sense of closing the gap between the lower ribs and indeed the pelvis. But the intention is there as we engage this rectus abdominis, this lovely six pack as we know it towards the front. One more time, breathing in into flexion, exhale, and forwards we go, gently pulling the rib cage down, pulling towards that pelvis, and then back into stacking your spine to the ceiling. Release the arms back down to your sides and pause there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and sit down on the mats now, guys. So just easing yourselves down this morning any which way you wish. And then we're lying down in our supine lying position. So you've got your head down on the mat, your knees are bent like mountains, heels towards your bottom. Okay, so I want you to cast your mind back to a bit of playground shenanigans. I'd like you to imagine you're going to give yourself a bit of a hug. Perhaps you might remember the days when you were pretending to have a little smooch in the corner. Did you ever do that? Was it just me? So you've got your hands behind, you're always kind of clasping through and around towards those shoulder blades, giving yourself a nice hug. Elbows are now also like mountains towards the sky, okay? So perhaps another visual is a straight jacket, but it doesn't appeal to me quite so much. But you've got these arms wrapped around you, and I want you to close your eyes for a moment, and I want you to really breathe into this arm space that you've created, or this hug, if you like, into the inside of those arms. As you breathe in, the ribs are going to press into this arm position you've created. And we can really feel the whole of the thoracic cavity working now, right? Okay, so as you breathe in, the ribs are pressing against these arms, pressing against that slightly restricted space. And we've got one more breath in. Okay, so that's the ribs working all the way around us, okay, rather than the lungs pressing out into the ribs. Have your hands now come down to your sides, out to your sides into a T. Palms are faced up towards the sky, okay, so your palms are faced up and you're roughly shoulder height. Okay, so from here, guys, we're going to think about what you've just been doing with the rib cage. You know you've got this lovely expansion capacity of the rib cage. You know you've got your flexion forwards and your extension backwards. Call on this rib cage to stay nice and static now. You've got your chest plate facing up towards the ceiling. Your shoulder blades are pinned in at the back on the floor and arms are out wide. You're going to breathe in, and from the shoulder joint only, exhale and draw your arms together in parallel so they're facing palm to each other and fingertips towards the sky. So the rib cage hasn't moved at all. Yes, okay, arms come out towards the side where you breathe in. Ribs are still trying to pull down, not pop open. Exhale, pull the arms together, palms facing in and parallel, roughly hip width apart when they come to finish. 2 more times, breathing in and exhale. The sense of pulling the ribs down towards the pelvis still so they're nice and controlled. Breathe in and exhale last time. And pause with the hands to the sky. Now turn and face your palms towards your knees, okay? Here's our challenge, okay? So we're going to build up from here. So you're actually going to breathe in as your arms come back. As your arms come back and your ribs breathe, and you breathe in to fill the thoracic area, you're still trying to pull that lower rib down towards the pelvis, okay? And exhale as the fingers come back up towards the sky. This is where it's tricky. The ribs really want to pop. To facilitate that movement of the arm all the way to the floor, the ribs would have to flare open into a slight back extension to be able to get there, and your back will start to lift off the floor. I don't want you to feel that any of the ribs or the shoulder blades or that back connection is coming off the floor as the arms go back, okay? So keep it controlled. The sense of those low little floating ribs always pulling down to the pelvis. We've got one more. And this time the arms are going to continue their journey and they're going to head down towards the mat and they're going to finish about 10 centimeters off the mat. Okay, so they're going to just pause and just go ahead and reach them a little bit more towards those heels and ankles. Okay, so feel that pull. Okay, Now just keep that pull, and you might be starting to feel that when you pull like this, you've actually got some messages going through the core as well, also pulling in that same direction. So keep those messages firing as you then go ahead and just let the hands come down towards the floor. Okay, so maybe some spell messages, residual messages in this core, nice and active still. Now we're going to just add on to that by making a diamond shape with your hands. Okay, so make a diamond shape, fingers together, first fingers and thumbs. And you've got this kind of diamond. I want you to plot that diamond directly over your belly button for me. Okay, so go ahead and find that belly button and just place the diamond right over the middle of that belly button. Now just take a couple of breaths into that belly button space for me, almost filling that diamond with your belly. So this is our belly breathing, okay? This is below the rib cage. This is the diaphragm pushing down as you breathe in and actually finding its movement or its space by pushing those organs all out the way, okay? So just find that belly space. You're almost imagining that belly button like a cherry on a cake pushing up through the diamond shape you've created. And then when you come to settle down this last time with an exhale, just pause and be aware that this diamond you've created is really the soft tissue that we just were talking about, the bit between the ribs, the bit between the pelvis. And then you're probably fully aware on the left and right, you've got your hip bones as well, okay? This is our pelvis or our pelvic clock that we worked on last term. I want you now just to think about 6 o'clock, which is where your fingertips are or your pubic bone. Now, this is the important bit, okay? In case you nodded off until this point, come back to me now, all right? Where your pubic bone is, yes, at the bottom of the pelvis there, I want you to imagine there's a little string on it and it's going to pull towards the end of your mat where your feet and toes are currently pointing. This little pull on the pelvis or the fingertips pulling towards the end of the mat will feel like perhaps when this is pulled, you get more of a space in the lower back. What I'm trying to achieve here is a very conscious awareness of your neutral spine. Okay, so when your pelvis is pulling and almost lengthening the space between the belly button and the pubic bone, this little space here, what we might call your lower abdominal area, once that is pulling and engaged, you get this amazing sense of space, but also, you'll also now, when we use this action, you'll then feel you've got an awful weightlessness, or a great weightlessness, I should say, not awful, but great weightlessness in the lower back. Let's see how this now works. Pop your hands down by your sides. You've got the slight gap in your back, not forced in any way, pulling down with the pubic bone to the end of the mat. Belly button just slightly now pulling in. Go ahead and lift your right foot off the floor. Okay. Now, when that right foot comes off the floor, there should be almost no extra weight or effort put into this midsection of your body. Place your right foot back down. Do you see what I mean? Breathe in. Exhale as you lift your left foot. Almost no additional work required from the core. Yes? Okay, so this is our neutral spine. Remember that, please. Neutral spine. And lifting your right foot. Now, we can do a lot of neutral spine with single leg work, but we tend to go into imprint when we do our double leg work, okay? So we're just going to keep neutral for the moment, and we're going to add on slightly. So placing the feet back down, take your hands towards the sky where we had our palms facing our knees. Now, this is where it becomes tricky. Maintain your neutral spine. We're going to breathe in, exhale, and start to roll your chin towards your chest. Still maintaining neutral, take your hands towards your kneecaps, and we don't get very far. Yes, with the ab curl here, we won't get very far. But you can go ahead and check out now. You should have quite a flat area between your belly button and your pubic bone. And then you come back down. We're just going to do 2 or 3 of these because this might be new news to some of you guys. Okay, so breathing in, exhale, chin to chest, and abdominal curl with your neutral spine. Okay, without the imprint, without the press of the lower back into the spine, into the mat, we just can't get that same height. However, what we are doing is really connecting to the front of our core muscles here. Yes, the rectus abdominis. A little bit more isolated, a little bit more effectively than in your imprint. Pausing here. Okay. Now we're going to take ourselves into imprint. Go ahead and squish that lower back down onto the mat, okay? Some of you might not have much of a journey to go. Some of you might have a long way to go. Go ahead and feel that squish now. Arms are still facing palms towards the floor. Let's see how this feels to be different, to compare. Breathe in, tuck your chin to your chest. Now see how far you can get comfortably with your abdominal curl. Probably quite a bit more as you press into that lower spine on the floor. You're not hanging in midair. Come back up towards the ceiling. Breathing in, exhale, abdominal curl with imprint. And down. Breathing in, exhale, 2 more into imprint. And this last time we're going to go ahead and hold high. Now sometimes, because we're in imprint and we feel like we're in a bit more of a strained position perhaps to get higher, you start to feel the neck strain. So I'm going to go ahead and get you all to pop your hands, in fact interlace your fingers behind the back of your head to support and cradle a skull for me this morning. Elbows should be in your peripheral vision and we're lifting into imprint. Go ahead and lift your right leg into tabletop and the left leg. This is when we have double legs elevated and you're supported by the lower spine. Now we're going to just simply toe touch your right toe down onto the mat, but you're maintaining the right angle at the knee joint if you can for me, please. Breathe in, switch to the left side toe touch, pretty much to the end of the mat, guys, okay? If you're touching just in front of your butt cheek, you know all you're doing is folding your knee joint. We're letting the thigh bone lever and down towards the mat. Okay, that's the thigh bone that's moving and back up to the ceiling. The thigh bone goes to 45 degrees and back up to the ceiling, pausing here. Lift a little if you've let that rib cage sink. Now we're going to switch a little bit quicker. So right toe down to the floor. As it comes up, the left toes down to the floor. And we switch, and we switch, and we switch. So we're taking one down as one comes up. Okay, so there's no pause in between with tabletop. We're going to go for 8 more, and 7, and 6, and 5, and that's 4, and 3, last 2, last 1, both into tabletop. Release the head and shoulders back down, hands by your sides, and go ahead and place those feet back down on the floor. Okay, so we're going to go ahead straight into our into our 100. To do this, we will do our imprint. I'd like you to bring your knee into your tabletop position and your other knee into tabletop position, and this time zip the two together. Go ahead and glue the knees and the feet together. Hands come up towards the ceiling. Now breathe into your shoulder blades for me. Please breathe and find that shoulder blade separation on the mat. Exhale, chin to chest, lift into your abdominal curl. That shoulder expansion should help the neck a little bit as we start pumping our arms by our sides. We're breathing in for 5 and out for 5. Gentle squeeze between the knees. In, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale through those parted lips. In through the nose. Exhale through the parted lips. You're using your shoulder joint. Of course, if you want to extend your legs, go ahead and extend about 45 degrees. And you can turn out to Pilates stance, which is about 1 inch or 2 between the toes. But the heels and the insides of your thighs remain perfectly glued together. If any of this is too much, of course, the feet can go back onto the floor. A little bit more of a rest there for 3 more breaths out. And last 2. And our final 1. Okay, go ahead and place those feet back on the mat and gently ease your head, neck and shoulders back onto the mat as well. Wonderful. Okay, so I'd like you to now just draw your right heel in as close as you can towards your bottom. Okay, so go ahead and squish it right on in there up towards your bum, but you're remaining with that foot on the floor, yes? Okay, left leg extends away now along the mat. Take your hands and just cross them over and pop your hands just across your collarbones or your chest there. And feel and notice the length in that long leg, okay? Imagine that thigh bone now having a gorgeous little stretch out of that hip socket, okay? It's really enjoying this. All righty. Now I'd like you to point your toes, please, for me. And I want you to now lift that straight leg up towards the ceiling. Okay, so you feel that lever, just the shift in the hip socket there of that thigh bone, okay? Now flex the foot so your sole of the foot is facing up towards the sky. Reach through the heel, okay? Reach up through the heel. Now imagine that heel now is pulling your leg long as you lower the leg towards the floor. Heel still reaching, heel still reaching, heel still reaching, and shift into point and up to the sky in point. And flex, pull down with the heel and into point to the sky and flex to the floor and point to the sky and flex to the floor. Now I'm going to speed that up for 4 and down and 3 up and down and 2 up and down and 1 up and down, pausing down. Flexion now still at that foot. Yes, so your toes still pointing to the sky. Let's go ahead and lift with our foot flexed, and then we point on the way back down. Flex the foot, toes point up, come up towards the ceiling, and we point on the way down. Flex the foot so the sole of the foot faces the ceiling on the way up, and point down for 2 more. Keeping those sit bones or the back of the pelvis, onto the mat. And now we're going to speed this up for 4 and down. That's 3 up and down. That's 2 flexed up and down. That's 1 flexed up and down. Gorgeous, well done. Now I'd like to bring that leg towards the ceiling and go ahead and hold on behind the back of the thigh. Maybe if it's the back of the calf muscle, depending on your stretch or length of arms or flexibility this morning. And I'd like to go ahead and extend the other leg right out towards the end of the mat. Not necessarily straight, okay? You might want to take it out to straight. We're not doing scissors, guys, okay? So just so you know, we're going to see if we can bring ourselves now into a roll-up. We are going to have varying degrees of success with this because it's quite early on, but we like a challenge piece every session. So what I'm going to ask you to do is breathe in and take your chin to your chest. We're going to exhale, and we're going to see if we can just gently roll up. Oh, not so easy this morning. Roll up, pulling up that leg, and then we're going to lift our elbows. So we've got a nice broad open space in front of our chest here. And we're going to bring our nose to our knee, okay? As the nose comes to the knee, you're getting a stretch at the hamstring right over the glutes and around the lower back. Now I'd like you to lift out of that pelvis. Try and open your chest and heart space forwards towards the end of the mat, okay? And we're going to have nose to knee one more time. Okay, if the leg's a bit bent, that's not a problem. If your supporting leg is bent, that's not a problem. They're all modifications. And then we're just going to lift from the spine. And we've got one more time, nose to knee. Elbows are wide still, nice and broad, open front of the chest as well, and lift. Pausing here, we're going to walk ourselves back down the leg, okay, and onto the floor. Wonderful. Bend that foot now right up towards your buttocks. Yes, okay, so you've really pulled that left heel in, and your right leg is now extended. Go ahead again and cross those hands across your chest, or arms across your chest and hands on the collarbones. Feel that length through the right leg now. Let that thigh bone have a good old stretch out from the hip socket, and point your toes so the whole of front of the leg is getting a stretch. Wonderful. Now with that leg still nice and long, lift the leg towards the sky, okay? You'll feel that tilt over the pelvis as the leg comes to the sky. Then we flex at the foot, and now really feel the heel pulling. Imagine a string from the heel, and it's pulling, pulling, pulling as you head down. Pull, pull, pull from the heel, and then into point and up towards the sky. And into flexion, the heel pulls down and into point towards the sky. Last 2, heel pulling down and then point up. We're going to speed this up for 4, guys, okay? So you head down, point up for 4, down inflection, point up for 3, down inflection, up for 2, down inflection, up for 1, pausing down inflection. Okay, so pause. Now just remind yourself of the pull of the heel. Okay, so you feel a nice pulling sensation through the whole of the pelvis. Now you're going to come up in flexion, so your sole of the foot comes up towards the ceiling and high fives the sky. Point as you head down towards the floor. Okay, back again into flexion, up towards the ceiling with our foot flat towards the ceiling and down in point. We've got 2 more. And up we come in our flexion and down, long legs, and last one. And this time pausing down. Okay, so flexing the feet, ready up for flexion for 4, fast and down, point. And 3 in flexion, point down. And 4 up in flexion, point down. And last one, I think, 1 for luck. I think I might have lost count. And down, wonderful. Okay, so this extended leg now comes towards the ceiling, and go ahead and just grab hold of that leg for a moment. That might be quite a nice reprieve. And let the other leg extend. It might be a wiggle out towards the end of the mat. It might be a straight leg, depending on how you feel. And you're going to breathe in towards your knee and exhale as you draw yourself up that leg. Golly gosh, feeling super stiff. Oh, one rubbish example this morning. And up we come. Okay, any which way, bring yourself back onto the mat into your leg extension again. Your supporting leg could be bent and this front leg could also be bent as well. Elbows are nice and wide, get that chest nice and open. And let's see if you can bring that nose down towards the knee if we can, just gently. Belly still pulling in towards the back of the spine there for me. Now we're going to lift our gaze and push our heart space through this lovely space between your elbows and see if you can lift that lumbar spine out the pelvis. Knees coming down towards noses to knees, too many ends, and then lift back up and throw that gaze forwards towards the toe, looking up, opening the chest. One more time, nose to knee. Got it this time, and then lifting nice and tall. Grow, 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 extend that spine, wonderful. Now see if we can elegantly walk down the leg, back towards the mat. Down we go, down we go, down we go, down we go. Wonderful. And place that foot back on the mat. If you've meandered off the mat, go ahead and find the middle section somewhere. And feet stay on the mat for the moment. Hands come back towards the cradle position we had earlier behind the back of the head. Okay. So guys, for the moment, we're just going to let ourselves go into imprint. Yes, so that's a bit of a squish of the lower back in the mat. And we're going to focus a little bit more now on the rotational aspects of our spine. So we're going to go through the crisscross. We're going to build up nice and steady, okay? So the first thing I'd like to do is lift your left shoulder blade off. Then do you know what? Back up the truck there, folks. I'd like you to actually think about the back of your pelvis for a moment. And you might recall last term we were doing that sense of just letting the coccyx press down into the mat and the back of the pelvis sink, almost like it's made a little squishy hole or a bowl in the mat. Go ahead and find that press of the pelvis. Yes, so nice and evenly balanced and connected. Now let's think about the left shoulder blade. Okay, so you've got the pelvis nice and stable. Lift the left shoulder blade and roll slightly onto the right shoulder blade. I would like you to just continue your gaze now to see if you can just check out that right elbow. Okay, so let the neck come with you slightly and come back to center. Check, you still got the pelvis pinned down. Exhale, left side now as we look to the left elbow. Okay, rolling onto the left shoulder blade, lifting the right shoulder blade off the mat. One more time either side, lifting your left shoulder blade, look to the right elbow. Okay, so a little bit more deep than we've done before, breathing in. Exhale, right shoulder blade lifts, look to the left elbow. And come back to central. Now you might want to carry on at that stage and that's fine. However, ensuring you're in imprint, go ahead and lift your right leg into tabletop. This is our level 2. And I'd like you to just go ahead and pin those legs together for me for the moment. Again, because I want you to check that your pelvis is pinned down into the mat. So you feel there's a nice solid base here and you're not rocking and rolling. Now we go ahead and repeat the same thing. Right hand side now, over to the right, look at right elbow and come back down. And your pelvis and knees stay perfectly still. Don't let them try and head the other way to compensate. Yeah, they stay towards the ceiling and back down. Breathe in and up we go. Now we're going to modify this slightly after this next one. Now as you head towards the right for me, please, head over towards the right, pause, look towards your right elbow, bring your knees into your chest. Go ahead and bring them in, okay? Now I'm going to ask you to extend them out towards the wall. So reach, reach, reach. And bring those knees in one more time. And extend out to 45. Well done. Come back through to tabletop and come to center. Breathing in. Exhale. Lift onto your left shoulder blade. Look out and check out that left elbow. Knees come into your chest. Holding that look to the left elbow. Send those legs away. Straighten the legs to 45 degrees. Come back into center. Now, of course, if you don't like these legs, please just carry on with the tabletop. Okay, crisscross and side to side, or feet can be down. We've got one more extension away. Come back just into tabletop and bring yourself back to center. Head and neck, shoulders back down on the floor and follow that with your feet as well. Just let your arms come back to the center and draw around your kneecaps. Pull your knees into your chest, small circles. Okay, so we'll take this one more level. Okay, feet come back down. All right, you once again, hands behind your head. And breathe in, imprints like that lower spine. Exhale as you draw your legs into tabletop. And this time there's no glue between the legs, okay? They're roughly hip width apart, no glue. So I'm going to bring your thoughts now towards your right shoulder blade and your right elbow. So go ahead, lift the left side up, over towards the right we go, looking at that right elbow. Now go ahead and extend your left leg towards the end of the room. Okay, there we go. Can you extend your right leg towards the sky? Okay, perfect. Bringing them back into tabletop. Come back to center. Breathe in, over towards the left. Looking towards the left elbow. Hold that form. Right leg extend away. Reach, reach, reach. Left leg extends towards the sky. Okay. Come back into tabletop and into center. Now we're going to do that one more time slow. Over to the right. Left leg extends. Right leg towards the sky. Okay, reach those legs. Okay, dynamic stretch from that hip bone. Come back through to center. Breathe in over to the left. And right leg extends. Left leg to the sky. And come back to center and peel back down. Place one foot on the floor and then the other. Well done. Place your hands around your kneecaps. Gently draw them in towards your chest and a small roll from side to side. Okay. So we worked a little bit across those diagonals. Now we're going to just work a little bit more into those hamstrings. So please go ahead, put your feet down. Draw your left knee into your chest. Okay, and extend that left leg up towards the sky. So we've had a little bit of work on this hamstring already, so this shouldn't be completely new news. Now this time we're all going to go ahead and extend our right leg along the mat for me now, okay? Unless you've got any hip issues or it is uncomfortable, then in which case please go ahead and just pop your foot down to support you for scissors, okay? Your head can stay down on the mat, so of course you can do scissors with your head down. It's not quite so easy, but of course it's very, very possible. So it protects the neck if it feels uncomfortable. However, alternatively, we're going to take it up level 2, where we think about that lovely long neck, a little bit of space between those elbows as you did a moment ago. Draw your chin to your chest and lift your knees in the direction, your nose in the direction of your knees. Remember again, these elbows are wide, okay, so you're not just crunching in, elbows are wide. If you want to paddle fingers behind the back of your calf muscle or your thigh, that's superb. We're going to breathe in, exhale, and we're going to switch. And we're going to breathe in, exhale, and switch. And switch. As I mentioned before, okay, so you guys, this might be your level 2. The head can be down if you don't want to. Or you can have your foot down on the floor and the head can be up. So you can still say, well, my head's okay, but I'm not sure I'm fully feeling it with my hamstrings this morning, so maybe I want to put one foot down. Yeah, okay, so that's your version if you would want to. We've got 2 more on either side. And last 2. Well done. And just gently clasp behind the back of the thighs to hold on to those guys before you peel yourselves back down the mat if your head is up. Otherwise, all of us now, feet come back down to the floor. Well done. Okay, so we're just going to do a slightly modified single leg circle this morning. I want you to just go ahead, just clasp your hands, okay? Just interlace your hands and pop them around your your left leg and just anchor that leg in towards your chest, okay? So this is going to be our anchor for single leg circle. A slight progression from last time where we were butting our hands up by the sides of our bums, okay? So if you feel like you're really wibbly wobbly and you've got very little balance going on this morning, remember that you can also put your hands up by your bottom and your foot comes down onto the floor. Otherwise, just see if you can go ahead and hug that thigh in on the left. Your right leg comes up towards the sky, guys, now. And this time this week, we're going to flex that foot again like we did a moment ago with our sole of the foot towards the ceiling. Okay, now, previously, we've done very delicate circles with our lovely big toe. We've created gorgeous little fine lines of circles on the ceiling. Now we're going to put a whole load of paint all over the sole of your foot, okay? And what we're going to do is create the most amazing dot shape of circle of paint on the ceiling. So you're going to breathe in, and we're going to simply rotate that sole of the foot, or rotate the humerus, the top of the leg of the thigh bone, the femur, in the hip bone. We're going to circle it round as we imagine ourselves smooshing this paint on the ceiling, creating this lovely dot of paint. I'm thinking navy blue. I don't know why I'm thinking navy blue. What color are you thinking this morning? as you make that circle on the ceiling. And then we're going to head the other way. So this, you may already be aware, it's very apparent, is not going to be a big circle, guys. We're talking dinner plate size here, but it's with control. Yeah, okay. So you're also working a lot more deeply into the posterior chain of the leg because we have this flexion at the ankle. Did I say reverse? I think I did. This is our last one in reverse. And then gently place that foot back down and the other leg joins it on the mat as well. Pause for a moment. Okay. The leg that was busy a moment ago, clasp, interlace the fingers and go ahead and pull that right leg in towards your chest if that's comfortable for you. Check you've not rolled out towards the side. Okay, so you've still got that connection on the back of the pelvis on the mat. And now the opposite leg, the left leg, I believe, is towards the ceiling. Okay, still feeling nice and flat on the back, across the shoulder blades, across the back of the pelvis, and flexion at the ankle, so your sole of the foot's up. Okay, so we're going to bring this one into a circle motion now, sweeping around, making that squishy painted circle on the ceiling. As you circle about a dinner plate size, maybe bigger, maybe less, and reversing direction. Keeping that flexion if you can, okay? It's an active flexion, okay, guys? It's not just kind of like a hanging out here thinking, well, I know I'm not in point. Pull the toes towards the kneecap as you swish round one more time in this hip joint, and then gently come back to center. Place that foot down onto the floor and let your right leg come back down as well. Okay, wonderful. Go ahead and just let the knees now head out towards the sides. So they're just going to open out in frog leg position so that your feet are now just together and knees are broad. Hands on the fleshy part of the belly. Perhaps you can go ahead and find that diamond shape we had before around the belly button. Just to remind you, breathe into that lovely diamond shape, or just breathe into your hands below the belly button area. Okay, so you're feeling that nice inflation through the belly. And stretching through the hips a little, through around inner thighs. And relax, 2 more breaths in. After this last breath, you're going to go ahead and just support the thighs just a little bit as they come back up to the knees towards the ceiling. And then roll the knees now over towards the side. Okay, so we're going to head into some side lying here. Alrighty, so going to be in the middle of your mat for me if you can, and just have your head gently supported. I'd like you to have your head supported with the hand if you can, as opposed to down, just to keep us a little bit more aware of some of the work we did last week with a rib cage lift, okay? If it's uncomfortable for your shoulder, go ahead and pop your hand to the front or out towards the side and underneath your ear, that is fine. Okay, so the hand is fairly close in towards us, yes? Okay, if you find that is trouble for you at any point, it's easier if your hand is slightly further away. It gives you a little bit more spread of balance, okay? Slightly harder, closer in towards your belly button. Okay, your legs for me currently are at 45 degrees or thereabouts and bent. And I'd like you to go ahead and lift your top leg up to about hip height. Now the lower leg is going to press slightly into the mat. So feel a slight press and connection. And when you get that press of the lower leg, you might also be able to just lift the rib cage ever so slightly, almost like it's a tiny float. Yeah, okay, it's not a big deal if it comes into your shoulder too much or it's too much pressure. Don't worry too much about any lift at all, but just an awareness that you're not slumping down. You've got a lovely, nice shoulder blade back position and neck is long. Bring your knee now into your chest for me. Go ahead and bring the knee into the chest and point your toe. Okay, so in this point position, I'm going to ask you, sorry, bent position, I'm going to ask you to swing your leg towards the back of you now so the heel heads towards your bottom, and you might feel that lovely glorious stretch over the front of your quadricep muscle here. If you start to cramp, okay, you're more than welcome to just flex off the foot. Perhaps the point might be too intense for you. It depends on how you're feeling this morning, how your body is, indeed what you ate last night, how much salt's going on in your body, etc., etc. Okay, so just gently knee into chest, always at hip height, okay? Try and remember, you're keeping it at hip height forwards and backwards. And one more time, knee into chest, and then extend that leg out. Sorry, just switch that leg out towards the back and pause and in towards 45. Dropping your legs back down, knee on knee. Go ahead and extend the legs towards the end of the mat. A readiness for hot potato. So now immediately we've got not quite so much balance going on because our legs are straight. So if you need to extend that arm forward, remind yourself to do that. Our top leg now is going to lift towards the ceiling, just about hip height, and then just bring it forwards towards me or towards the front of you and touch the front of the mat roughly around the front corner. Now lift the leg up and over and see if you can ferret around for the corner somewhere at the back of the mat. Yes, your rolling of the hips may mean you go a little bit backwards slightly. That's okay, but lift that leg up and over towards the front. Trying to use the core, okay, as opposed to using the momentum and twist of the spine, using your core, using your hips, using the legs muscles as you touch from front to back. And we're going to add this into our or rather add on to this to create our hot potato, which means we start to get a little bit more snappy with this move. So everyone pause with the leg front. We're going to do 6 taps of the leg towards the front, imagining that the mat is a hot potato and it's just a little bit too hot to tap. So we're going to tap for 6. As we come over, we're going to lift the leg a little bit higher than hip height and head towards the back and tap for 6 there. Okay, so when you're ready, let's start at the front. Here we go, working together. Here we go. 6 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lift behind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In front for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And behind for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In front for 4. And behind for 4. And then we've got 3s in front and behind for 3, 2, 1. 2 in front. 1, 2. And 2 behind. 1, 2. And now we're singles for 8. And that's 7. And 6, and 5, and 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Well done, well done, well done, well done. Pausing there, legs are stacked, wonderful. Go ahead and bring your legs now to the front corner of the mat for me, all right? So your fingers, your toes are just out there to the front corner of the mat. But you haven't moved this Pilates powerhouse, that's shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, okay? That hasn't come out of position at all. We're going to now just take ourselves into what's called the high kick, all righty? So this is now going to go a little bit further in the range. As we high kick, you may well find your toes start to face towards the ceiling and your hips slightly open. That is fine, okay? That is allowed in this particular piece. So it's not just about keeping up to the maximum range of the side of the hip. Okay, so let's go ahead with 4 nice and slow when you're ready. Again, find a slight hip lengthening, shoulder blades back and down, neck is long, breathing in. Let's go ahead and find that range. Let's go high kick and down. Well done, breathe in. Exhale, high kick and down. And high kick and down. Now you may want to carry on slow if you're feeling this is not necessarily for you. Otherwise, you're going to go faster for 8. Are you ready? Breathing in and 8 and down and 7 and down and 6 and down and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1 and pause. Wonderful. Well done. Drawing yourself back into the center of the mat now. Just go ahead and line yourself down equally from the front edge of the mat. At both the top and bottom of your bodies. Now I'd like you to bend your top leg and if you can, place your foot in front of you, okay? If this is not happy for your hip, okay, this is quite a twist, quite an external rotation of this thigh bone, go ahead and pop the leg perhaps behind your knee. Yes, okay, so this foot is behind. Or if that's not really for you this morning, go ahead and put your knee down in front of you, okay? So you see this knee's directly in front of my hip. That is a modification too. If you're able to do our level 3, which is the leg in front, you may even find you can fish around and reach for your ankle, okay? That's the icing on the cake, and you may not be able to do that, but I'm going to demonstrate that for you today. All right, so you've got your ankle now at the bottom of your mat with a little glass of water we've talked about before, just balancing precariously there, waiting for you to lift it to the sky. When you're ready, we're going to just lift that little glass of water nice and high and lower it back down. Okay, so breathing in, exhale, lift and lower. Okay, so for those who are not feeling this level 3 is for them, of course, you can have, as I said, the leg behind, and you'll just be lifting the leg gently, sliding up the inside of your lower shin. Okay, as I'm showing you now. You're still feeling that that leg is really long and lifting to its maximum range. Okay, or guys with the leg in front, of course, You're still doing the same piece here. You've got your leg in front of you, just supporting you gently on the mat. Last two. And for everyone, we're pausing in readiness for our small circles. Are you ready? Let's go ahead. Let's circle for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Reversing for 4, for 3, for 2. And that's the last one. Gorgeous. Well done. Okay, letting that leg come back down. All righty. Over onto your fronts for a slight transition before we do the other side, please, guys. Hands stacked one on top of the other. Legs are wide. Go ahead and find the corners of those mats. And your forehead is down. Okay, so currently your toes are pointing towards the corners of the mat. Shoulder blades are down and legs are reasonably wide. I'd like to bring your left heel into your left butt cheek. Okay, so you go in towards that butt cheek with a flexed ankle. Come back out in point and place the leg back down. Now the right leg. Go ahead and bring your right heel in towards your right bottom cheek. Flexing at the ankle, really pull in and then release back down. We're going to speed this up, okay? So heel to bum and down, heel to bum and down, and heel in and down, and heel in and down. Okay, pause there. Now then, let's go ahead and find that belly to spine. And I want you to really now think about lengthening those legs so that they almost levitate off the floor. By really straightening those legs, almost pulling up those kneecaps, you extend and compress, or rather contract your quadriceps, and that bulks them up, and you might find that your legs are now levitating almost by themselves, resting on the front of your thighs. Now, hold that position, belly in, and I want you to think about shoulder blades down as a counterbalance. Let your right heel come in towards your bottom. And I want you to think, can you press that right sole of the foot towards the sky ever so slightly and down? And again, press slightly and down. Now, this is a millimeter or so of movement. If you feel this is any problem or you're cramping, please go ahead and extend the leg out straight. And you can just lift a straight leg for me. But both legs are still long and extended. Both legs are reaching and active. This is not just a left leg working, right leg doing nothing. Just a small lift and down, small lift and down. Let the legs come back down and relax everything, and you squish and melt down onto the mat. Yes? Okay. From here, let's go ahead. Again, belly in first and foremost, shoulder blades down. Okay, let's go ahead and extend those legs as much as we can towards the back of the room behind you. You're still right out at those corners. The levitating legs are on the left and the right, but it's now the right heel that pulls into your right bottom cheek. And out it goes. And in and out, this time pausing in readiness to pulse towards the sky. So breathe in, belly is in, shoulder blades really pull down. Let's find some space in that lumbar spine as we just press the sole of the foot to the sky and down. See how it feels on this side. Is it any easier and is it any worse? Can you get more range, but do you cramp faster? See how you feel. If you're cramping, go ahead and extend that leg and you can do a straight leg lift. Just simply lifting the straight leg off the floor or a little bit further up towards the sky. Keep pulling forwards with that lovely crown of the head, still space in the spine, belly in, last two, and last one, and let everything flop down towards the floor. Every muscle just goes, Bring the legs together in parallel, tuck your toes under, release the hands from under your forehead so they're by your shoulders. And then belly in as you just ease over into child's pose, gently levering that bottom towards your heels. And take a lovely couple of breaths. This is our first child's pose. Who knew this morning? Just gently pause. And we're going to do side lie on the other side. So when you are ready, easing yourself up and over. And we're into side lying, okay? So this side of the mat, again, find yourself down the middle. Arm position may well be different to the other side. Okay, so again, choose your arm position. Again, you may find that you've got more support this side. and therefore it's a more confidence this side, so your hand can be closer to your belly, or go ahead and put it further away. Knees 45, just as we did last time, just slightly bent at the knees. Let's start ourselves off nice and easy. Okay, lifting that top knee to roughly hip height. Okay, so no higher for this particular time. Bring your knee into your chest, and if we can all go ahead and point the toe, that would be super. Okay, so remember, this is from the hip joint. You're just going to send that knee towards the back of the room behind you, and the bottom, sorry, the heel comes towards the bottom, and then come back forwards into the chest, breathing in. Exhale, send that leg away. Good, well done. Now you're trying to maintain that hip height, okay? So we're just getting the messages to the brain, the working the front and the back, keeping the powerhouse steady, the not rolling forwards and backwards. Nicely supported with that lower leg, slightly pressing into the mat if you can. Last two. And here's our last one. Okay, wonderful. Coming back into center, and then extend your legs back down towards the mat. Well done. Okay, so again, adjust if you need to, making sure you've got a slight lift of the rib cage if you can. Legs are stacked one on one. Let's go ahead and just bring that leg up a little bit higher than hip height for me. Drawing it forwards towards the front corner of the mat. Find that front corner of the mat and check you're now still talking to the front back muscles to stay balanced. Yeah, you've not rolled over. Lift that leg and delicately place it behind you. Feel the shift of muscle messages going on. Tummy pulling right and tight now, and lift up a little bit higher than hip height and down towards the front corner. Pelvic floors engaged, lifting high and touch behind. And we're going to speed this up into our hot potato. So bring your leg to the front and pause, where we get ourselves ready to pulse for 6. Are you ready? Let's go. That's 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift. And 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Behind. In front for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And behind for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4 in front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 behind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 in front. 1, 2, 3. And 3 behind. 2 front. And 2 behind. Followed for 8 at the front. And that's 7 individuals. And 6. Up and over. 5. And 4 and 3. This is getting those quick messages. 2 and last one, and gently bring the legs together. Well done. Not moving the powerhouse at all, just lift those ankles and place both feet down on the front corner of the mat. And readiness for high kick. Again, choose where you want to pop that hand. Still nice and long, shoulder blades back. You're still feeling that stretch from the pelvis. And let's go ahead and explore how we feel with a high kick. So you're lifting the top leg. You may rotate it slightly so that you can see a little bit more of those front toes and toenails. The top hip might slightly roll towards the back. That's fine. And come back down. We're just going to do 2 more, just exploratory ones. Okay, so taking that leg slightly higher than just towards the side of us. And we do our side leg raise. Okay, and down. And this is our final one. So you might want to do the next few just this pace, which is cool. Yeah. Or we're going to speed this up for 8. So when you're ready, breathing in, let's go. This is 8 and 7 and 6 and 5 and 4 and 3. Well done. Last 2 and 1. Gorgeous. Well done. Superb. Bending the knees slightly there. Well done. Alrighty, so we're going to just take our legs back into parallel in readiness for our inner thigh work. Again, see how you feel with this side. Me personally, I'm not so good at getting this leg right up to be able to reach the ankle on this side due to my hip operation. Okay, so this is just as far as I can go, and it feels a bit more tricky for me to hold on. If that is the case and it's tricky for you, go ahead and put the leg behind. Yeah, remember the levels. Or level 1 is here. Level 2 and level 3. Okay, so when you're ready, go and find that little glass of water or imaginary glass of water on the heel, and we're going to lift the straight lower leg towards the ceiling and down. Be careful though, whatever level you are in, that you're not lifting this leg towards the front corner of the mat, okay? If you can't feel your buttocks getting a little bit involved, try and imagine you're sliding that leg a little bit more towards the wall behind you. Not bending at the knee, but just a little bit more in parallel to that back corner of the back side of the mat, that back edge of the mat. Okay, that's lovely. Last 2. Long legs, and last one, pausing high for our circles. Are you ready? Let's go for circles here with that inner thigh, just small circles. And opposite direction. Here we go for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. And pause there. Gorgeous, well done. Taking the legs back out to the side, rolling onto your tummy. This time we're going to just pop into child's pose, straight on over. And there we go, into child's pose. Well done. Okay. Bringing yourself into 4-point kneeling, please. You've got your hands underneath your arms. Okay, shoulder blades back and down. And tummies are fairly just engaged. Thinking about that neutral spine. Okay, that's even relevant now, neutral pelvis rather, because of course a neutral pelvis indicates where the spine is. If you've got yourself tilted, you might find yourself into a deep lordotic curve. I'm not looking to you to get into cat stretch, just find a neutral position for us here. Okay, we're all in 4-point kneeling. I want to all to be in 4-point kneeling, please, this morning. Now, a little string has been attached to the crown of your head, and I've just pulled it slightly forwards to the front short edge of the mat, okay, just a small amount. We're talking 1 inch, maybe 2. Now I'm going to get you to think about those shoulder blades. Let's go ahead and just make sure they're nice and broad, okay? I don't want you to hunch or curl, but make sure that they're nice and separated. Elbows are going to bend. That's all I'm asking you to do. Bend the elbows. I'm not looking to get you to reach or move the neck position. I'm not asking you to look down towards your tummy. I'm just saying bend the elbows. Okay, that's all I want you to do is bend the elbows and lower the head towards the mat and then come back up. Just bend the elbows and they head out towards the side. Now, if you find that these hands are a little bit uncomfortable right underneath your shoulders, perhaps you would like to broaden them slightly. That is one way of making it a little bit more comfortable for you guys. But I would rather you do that and keep your eyes slightly in front. Do you remember we had that slight little pull on the head with a string? Is that still relevant to you, or have you sunk back to being just above your thumbs? Okay, that is not what we're looking for. We're not looking for thumbs. We're looking for eyes just in front of the middle fingers. As you come down, let the shoulder blades come together. Last 2. And we've got 1 more. Well done. And just pop the bottoms back towards the heels in our lovely standard child's pose rest position. If your wrists are a little bit naggy, you can go ahead and tuck your fingertips underneath your hands, or your wrists, I should say, and you create a bit of a stretch over the top of your wrist as I'm showing you now. Okay, it's quite a nice little stretch. It's quite a nice anytime stretch, frankly. Okay. And bring yourself back up into 4-point kneeling. Now I'm going to get you to walk your hands forwards by roughly 1 length of your hands. So 1 hand span forwards, let's take those hands forwards. And then with that, that string on your head is pulling your hands, pulling your head slightly forwards, okay? With that, your pelvis will travel slightly forwards. But there's no dipping, there's no tucking, there's no letting go of the hips towards the floor and slumping. Okay, so we're still in that same position, and we're going to do 8 of those bent elbow press-ups here. I don't want to say press-ups because I think we all go into an autopilot. So your eyes are in front of your fingertips, not over your thumbs, and we're going to bend the elbows, and that might be all we do. We might bend them for like maybe 5 centimeters of a head drop or a nose drop, okay? That may be all we get, but I would rather every time you don't go far down, then you start to collapse the chest or have a chicken neck or slump into the lower spine. Okay, I would rather you do good form on a small move, please. Last 2. And that's our final one. Well done. And just push back for a few seconds in child's pose here for me. And again, if you'd like to take that wrist stretch over the top of the wrist, tucking your fingertips underneath your wrists. And pausing here. Okay, come back into 4-point kneeling with your hands flat for me. I'd like to bring your knees together. So join your knees together underneath you so they're glued together. I'd like you now to go ahead and place your right hand on the right side of your mat, the right long edge of the mat, and your left hand comes to join it, okay, just by its side, okay? So both your hands are by the right side of the mat. And then I want you now to take your feet and put both feet on the right side of the mat as well. Okay, so right hands, right feet on the right side of the mat. Now go ahead and child's pose, bottom back to your heels. Okay, and see how that feels for you. That might be a nice stretch down the side of your body. If that's uncomfortable in any way, you can bring yourself back up and just align the feet back where they were to the center. The hands can still be on the side. And then just stretch over towards the center, and that shouldn't be quite so intense. Okay, otherwise you may well be enjoying this, but we're going to bring ourselves back up to the center. Switch your feet back to the middle. Take your left hand to the left side of the mat. Right hand joins it. And then both of the feet are over towards the left side of the mat as well. Again, see how you feel. If you want to come out of this and straighten those legs back up to the center of the mat, that is fine. Lowering your bottom towards your heels. Let's go ahead and child's pose towards the left. Well done. Bring yourself back up to center and bring your hands back towards your knees, and we're going to peel ourselves up into a half roll up. So we're just taking ourselves halfway up to begin with. Gorgeous, well done. I want you to now think about your left leg coming out to the front of the mat. Now you might need to support yourself to do that and put the left leg here. Otherwise, perhaps your hands are in T or just drawing your left leg forwards. We're going to take ourselves into a lovely hip flexor stretch. Okay, so to begin with, hands just going to be steadying ourselves on our front thigh. Leading with the kneecap, easing ourselves forward. Okay, so the lever is here from the back hip. Okay, from this back hip, opening at the front of the hip flexor. If you feel you need to get a bit further, you're more than welcome to walk your front foot forwards if you have that range and that ability. It's totally up to you. Okay. If you feel like it's just too much, you can more than welcome just to stay here and just support yourself and just a gentle lean. If you want to take it a little bit further, guys, you're more than welcome to pop your hands into your heart space and go ahead and take your hands towards the ceiling. And we're going to explore again that slight back extension that we looked at right at the beginning of the class. And we're going to really deep stretch down the side of the body. Sorry, down the front side of the body, down the hip flexor. And then we're going to just release ourselves back to center, and everyone bringing your knees back together. Okay, again, we're going to take the right leg forward. If you need to just put your hands on the floor to do so, go ahead. As you bring that right leg round, support yourself on the right thigh. Okay, and easing that right knee forwards towards the short edge of the mat to your maximum range. Okay, again, we're looking for a stretch at the front of that left hip. Yeah, okay, good stuff. Wiggle the foot forwards if you want to progress it slightly, or the alternative is adding on by taking our hands to our heart space, driving them gently upwards as we lift our gaze and into back extension, if you feel comfortable here. Okay, releasing your hands back towards that front thigh, then settling yourself into your start position. And then we're going to head into roll up. So hands come towards the floor, push over into a small ball or perhaps a crouch. Okay, you might like to enjoy this moment a little bit by pushing the heels down towards the floor so you get a bit more of a stretch around the back of the Achilles, back of the calf. And go ahead and pop that chin into your throat space. Look down towards the belly. Look down towards that pelvis, and then we're going to start to roll up, pushing your heels towards the floor. If you're already in crouch, again, belly coming into spine regardless, pelvic floors engaged as we roll back up. Restack the vertebrae, think of them, one plopping on top of the other as you come back into standing and to the center of your mat. Okay, well done, gorgeous. Alrighty, just simply taking one double arm float for me. Try and think about a little bit of ribcage connection as you turn the palms away. Press the hands down by your sides, and we'll do that one more time. Breathing in. Grow, lift, expand, and then press the air down as you grow back up towards the ceiling. Let the hands settle for a moment and close your eyes. And just let everything cool down to the soles of your feet so you feel nicely weighted under the soles of the feet on the mat, on the earth, as you breathe in through the nose. Exhale and find your Pilates powerhouse. Zip in and hollow in, draw in through your core, find your center, your double layers, your inner circle, the outer circle of muscles as you exhale this last time. Open your eyes.